How's everybody doing? Good.
Coach, there was a report earlier that said that the Cowboys were very close to finalizing a deal with OSA. Can you provide us with a status update on that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ongoing conversations. Obviously, OSA has done a terrific job for us. He's a terrific young player. He does everything right, and as those communications keep going, it's never done till it's done. But he'd be a guy we'd love to have back.
I know you haven't had a lot of time to reflect here, but 1 month as a head coach for the first time in your career, how would you describe what this past 4 weeks have been like for you?
Really busy. You go to sleep at night, you have a pretty good plan of what the next day is going to bring, and you wake up and there's certainly things that you anticipated, but wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, okay, I got to do this. I didn't think about that. So even being in it, David, for 25 years, there's things that pop up that you're just kind of like, wow, I hadn't thought about that. So I'd say the other head coaches have been amazing. They've reached out to me. They've been awesome as sounding boards, but the staffing was probably the most difficult part, but also the most enjoyable part.
Ryan, kind of circling back to OSA, but expanding upon that. And speaking with Will McClay, one of the things that he grew out there was that you guys have a ton of alignment between the front office down through you and through your staff. When it comes to free agency, OSA, Jordan Lewis, Marcus Lawrence, can you just talk about your part of the process going forward and how that helps shape the roster as you want to?
Yeah, I think one of the positives of me coming on board was, again, knowing the people. So the communication from the very beginning was very seamless. I think, not that we always agree on everything, but there's definitely alignment, and more importantly, we're able to have real conversations, hard conversations sometimes, and I think that helps you kind of, cut through some of the red tape, if you will. There's a lot of discussions that go on this week, which is interesting. But I love the process. I love the meetings with Steven and Jerry and Will, and just having sat through the interviews for the past couple of days. I think Will and Mitch do a great job of setting the table for us.
Get back to the staff for this. Give a sense. Has it hit you yet that? Yeah, I got to run this thing.
It comes and goes. Usually I'm so busy, it pops up at different times, but I'm ready for it. Always have been. Way more ready for it now than I was probably when I was 32 and had some opportunities. But I think the biggest thing for me would be it's way more clear to me now what I want to do, how I want to do it with, a special culture about winning, about doing it with the right type of people.
Get back to the staff. And certainly, usually coaches, when they think they're getting a job, they have a mindset of who they want to be on their staff. They got to have that, card in their pocket. How did this come together? You got a lot of mix of young guys, old guys, college guys. How did that come together? And what was the philosophy behind it?
It's a great question, Clarence. I think, this is something that I've done for a long time, which means spend the off season, the summer. My wife gets mad at me, but tracking coaches. I literally call guys in the business that I know and that I trust, and I'm like, hey, tell me somebody that maybe you think the world of, but that I've never heard of. And it's such a close knit fraternity that guys are happy to share good people with good people. I think there's 3 guys maybe that I've worked with before that weren't carryover guys. When you asked me initially how the staff was going to come together, did I think that would be the case? Probably not. But again, the guys that came in, I think we found great teachers. We found guys that were incredible people, and I have a real big belief in fundamentals. And so I think if you look at all the coaches that we've added, both young, old, the ability to train fundamentals and the developmental process of our players is critical.
Coach.
And one last thing, I know for a fact our players are going to feel the passion and energy of this staff. This staff is awesome, just in terms of the energy, the way they want to teach, the way they want to be on the grass. So I can't wait to see us get to work here in a couple months. Again, another guy I've been tracking for a while. You can't not see the guys he's developed, going back to Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Again, it takes time. It takes a lot of time to do research into these guys, and he's a guy that's come highly recommended, I would say, for the last couple of years. And then when you get in the room with a guy, you see his infectious personality and his ability to teach the particulars of, releases, top of the routes. What I love about Junior, he's able to take a very complicated position and make it simple for the players, which allows those guys to do what? Play fast. And he's going to do a great job, and I'm excited for him. But I know he's really excited about the opportunity to break into the league.
Brian, you've been affiliated with run-heavy offenses, going back to the Jets, or run-oriented offenses. How do you see that applying next year? And what do you see from Massachusetts, whether or not you guys take?
Yeah. I think offensively you try to build it, based on what your guys do well. I got in trouble for letting Russ cook a little bit back in Seattle, but some people got the joke, some people didn't. But no, again, at the end of the day, you have to be able to run the football. I think we've made a commitment that we want to be great on both sides of the line of scrimmage. That's a huge part of it. The way I say it is when teams know that you're going to run the ball, you have to be able to run the ball and conversely stop the run. But again, depending on how the roster is built and how it's constructed, we want to, be able to feature our guys and what they do well, and we want to be multiple. one of the main reasons Matt Eberflus here is, again, the ability to take the football away. That's a big mantra when you talk about, what we want to be is we want to win the turnover battle. We want to own both sides of the line of scrimmage. We want to attack with our playmakers. And then at the end of the day, we want to be a team that plays incredibly hard for one another.
Brian, going back to the
On Genty? Yeah, again, just early in the process. Seeing a lot of his highlights late at night from the West Coast.
Going back to the balance of your coaching staff, obviously this is your first NFL combine as a head coach, and you have some, first-time NFL coaches like Connor Riley, but you have those who are experienced as well, Matt Eberflus and some of his staff. What's the process been as far as the acclimation of all of that at this NFL combine?
Well, it's been long days, honestly. We really brought the whole staff up here. We've been doing a lot of football in the morning. Guys get pulled away to do interviews and things like that, but what's been really cool is watching the experienced coaches lean into the younger coaches. And we've actually, even in some of the interviews, we've had some of the quality control guys do some of the interviews. And why would you do that? Well, you do it to develop your younger guys. And so to watch a J.J. Clark, to watch a Ramon Chin-Young go through the interview process and taking these guys through the process, it's great for us as coaches to evaluate them, but also for Will and Mitch and Chris Vaughn to see those guys in that role. Because at some point when we win games and guys begin to move on, those are the guys that we're going to be promoting from within.
Coach, earlier in the week, Pete Carroll was pretty effusive in his praise for you. What does it mean to receive an endorsement like that, given your history?
Incredible. Pete, was so good to me. 2017, I was coaching the quarterbacks in Indianapolis, and my phone rang, and I actually had Pete's number in my phone from 2001. When I left USC, Pete came in and did not have an opportunity for me to stay there. And I saw it and looked at it, and from the moment I went there, Pete's been incredibly impactful to me. And what do I mean by that? I mean the way he looks at the game, the way he wants people to let their own personality shine and not kind of put people into a box per se. I think that's one of his greatest strengths, even at his age. His energy, his juice, his passion. Again, it was a hard breakup. It really was. I laugh about the let Russ cook thing. Pete and I truly just agreed to disagree. We set franchise record for most points scored, and we just kind of saw it go in different directions. But the guy's a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, to do what he did at USC, to do what he did at Seattle, and what he'll do in Las Vegas. And very powerful for me, because here's a guy that talked a lot about when he left, I think it was the Jets, New England, I can't remember, but he took a year off. He literally got a notebook out, and he wrote down everything that he believed in. And he challenged me on that from the first day I was there. He said, Shotty, he goes, in a lot of ways, you're a football savant. You've been around the game your whole life. There's things that you've learned along the way that you don't even know you've learned, but what do you really believe in? And I thought that was really, really cool. And he didn't have to do that. But amazing coach that I truly, probably of all the coaches, including my father, he's the guy I probably model myself the most after.
Right, when you've walked around here in combines in the past, maybe you could go unnoticed at times by fans and media and things. This week, what has that been like? Have you noticed more people knowing who you are and where you're going, what you're doing?
Actually, Todd, I haven't gotten out much, to be honest with you. It's been nonstop. There's a lot of work to be done. Again, other than a few autograph seekers, it's been pretty normal. But I would say literally so proud of the staff. I mean, like literally, it feels like we're in season a little bit right now in terms of the hours. We're putting in an offensive system, right, making some adjustments with Clayton and the new guys coming on. Flus has, again, been incredible in terms of what he's trying to do with the new pieces and the new coaches, Aaron Whitecott and guys like that. So I haven't had a whole lot of time. And then, again, this is the time of year where coaches kind of get caught up, if you will, on the whole player acquisition part of it. You're kind of, okay, all right, these are the free agents. Okay, ooh, the draft, like we just talked about Genty. Like, I know who he is, but again, have I studied him? No. We just got the staff done 10 days ago, and then you dive into the playbook and all that. And so it's been a lot of long hours, and I really haven't had time to say what feels different.
Brian went home and had the staff at home and done a lot of that stuff. Why was it important to bring them here?
I think we learned a couple years ago with Mike when I took over as the coordinator that when you stay back and some guys go, things get lost. And so it's just better to move the whole shop. And again, kudos to Jerry and Steven and being willing to do it. And it's certainly expensive to do it. But you bring everybody up here, and we all got in here on Sunday, and Monday morning was no different than working out of the Star. And we just worked most of the day on football, and we got pulled away to formals. And otherwise, what happens is a guy gets caught on a flight, and he's flying, and he misses something, and just the attention to detail is not the same. I think we learned that a couple years ago with what we tried to do with Mike.
Brian, real quick, when you mentioned Mike, is there anything, though, that he did? Recently, the grades came out.
Hey, Cowboys fan, let me ask you something. Weren't you expecting to hear that Dallas met with Ashton Jeanty at the NFL Combine? Because I know a lot of people were. It just made sense, right? The Cowboys desperately need a running back. Jeanty is a Frisco native, and a big part of the fan base has been calling for him to wear the star. But then, silence. No meeting, no official interview, and that got people talking. Is Dallas not interested in Jeanty after all? Or is there something bigger going on here? Before we jump to conclusions, let's break this down. There's actually a reason behind this decision, and it might not be what you think. But first, do you think the Cowboys made the right call by skipping Jeanty's interview at the Combine? Let me know in the comments. At first glance, skipping a meeting with Ashton Jeanty at the NFL Combine seems like a huge mistake, especially with how much the Cowboys need help in the backfield. But the truth is, this move might be part of a bigger plan. Here's something not everyone knows. Each team at the Combine only gets 60 interviews, and each one is limited to just 15 minutes. That's not a lot of time to get to know a player, especially someone who could be a first-round pick. According to insider Nick Harris, the Cowboys aren't avoiding Jeanty, they're just saving the meeting for later. Instead of burning one of those short interviews now, Dallas plans to bring him in for a Dallas Day visit, right here in Frisco, where they'll have way more time to get to know him. So if you're thinking the Cowboys are out on Jeanty, think again. This might actually mean they're even more interested in him than we realize. But what do you think? Is this a smart strategy or another front office mistake? Drop your opinion in the comments. Just because the Cowboys didn't meet with Jeanty at the Combine doesn't mean they're not interested. In fact, the Dallas Day visit could actually be better for both sides. Think about it. 15 minutes at the Combine versus an entire day at the Star in Frisco in a familiar environment with the Cowboys' full attention. That's not just an interview, that's a full evaluation. The team can see how he fits their system, their culture, and maybe even picture him as their future RB1. So here's the big question. Could Jeanty actually be the Cowboys pick at number 12 overall? Some say yes, others aren't so sure. Running backs don't always go that high, but with Tony Pollard's future uncertain, Dallas might be looking for a workhorse back. And Jeanty, with his mix of speed, power, and receiving ability, checks a lot of boxes. Now it's your turn. Do you think the Cowboys should draft Jeanty in the first round? Vote in the poll. Yes or no? So what does this move really tell us about the Cowboys' draft strategy? Are they all in on Jeanty, or is this just a smokescreen? By passing on a Combine interview, Dallas might be signaling one of two things. Either they're already convinced about Jeanty and don't need a rushed 15-minute meeting, or they're keeping their options open for other running backs, maybe even a veteran in free agency. There's also the possibility that they see more value in drafting a different position at number 12 and waiting until later rounds to pick up a running back. After all, recent history shows that elite RB talent can be found outside the first round. But here's where it gets interesting. Could the Cowboys be playing the long game, making other teams believe they aren't targeting Jeanty just to secure him later? It wouldn't be the first time Dallas has used draft day mind games. What do you think? If the Cowboys don't draft Jeanty, who should they target instead? Drop your pick in the comments. At the end of the day, the Cowboys skipping a Combine interview with Jeanty doesn't mean they're not interested. It might actually be the opposite. The Dallas Day visit gives them more time, more control, and a deeper look at a player who could be their next star. Our running back. So will Jeanty be wearing the blue and silver next season? That's the million-dollar question. And with the NFL draft getting closer, the speculation is only heating up. Stay tuned because this story is far from over. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and let me know in the comments, will Jeanty be a Cowboy?